Very good.
We'll put the silt fence up tomorrow morning.
Okay, does it say host on yours now up at the top?
Yes, it does.
Okay. If you don't need me, I'm going to say goodnight.
Have a good night. We'll see you
Good
on
night.
Wednesday.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Washington.
Am I missing somebody?
Only 5 of us here, Mike.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the screen saying, I heard a voice like, okay. Oh, I got a headache.
Yeah.
But we haven't even started yet, Mike.
Oh, no, it's the work is giving me a headache.
Live a dream, one nightmare at a time.
That's. I'm gonna steal that one.
Go ahead. I don't have anything on that one. That's a long time old EB and Navy one.
This is the agenda.
All right. Excuse me. I have 6 o'clock. We'll get this meeting to call this meeting to order. As president, I have is myself, Kevin Dombrowski, and Mike Washington. Also, we have Liz Burdick, our town planner, director of planning, Karen Parkinson, and Nate Woody online. Correct?
Yep.
So I'll let open it with citizens' comments. Is there any citizens who wish to address the committee on any
Please.
issue?
Yes, please. Kevin, I would like to make a comment.
Sure, go ahead, Karen.
Okay. This is a public comment by Karen Parkinson, 55 Rose Hill Road, a Ledyard resident. I am here tonight as president of the Tri-Town Trail Association Incorporated to request an open working committee meeting so we can share and discuss some of our ideas for the use of the town properties at 1085 Colonel Ledyard Highway, the 42 acres, and the Clark Farm. Many of our volunteers have commented on the field that is full of weeds, and we all wish it could have a more useful purpose. There's a wealth of possibilities, some that could include other town entities and become a community project. And there are also some possible funding sources that I have discovered, not for the Tri-Town Trail, but for the town. The Tri-Town Trail would like to proceed into and through the Clark Farm. There are many options to do this, as we would like to openly discuss before asking permission for a specific plan. I have reached out to South Windsor to learn how they engaged Eversource in their crosstown trail, and I have information on that. Perhaps Ledyard could do something similar. Eversource is very interested in doing passive recreation. The groundswell of community support, family involvement, and willing to do really hard manual labor has been phenomenal. We just moved a 1,000-pound rock on Sunday. Ledyard should be proud. We look forward to an open meeting so we can present our plan and then, with your approval or direction, develop more specific plans. Thank you. I'll send a copy of this to Roxanne.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yep, go ahead, Nate.
So I had a comment regarding the Tri-Town Trail Association. I'm happy to do it here or during that item of the agenda.
Yeah, you can do it here. That's fine.
So I actually just wanted to comment that the Tri-Town Trail Association has been doing a ton of work out on the easements. There's been a number of a fair amount of construction work going on out there with bridge construction and things like that. I think there's been great progress out there. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there's still no plan in place for maintenance or what the town is going to be responsible for going forward. I'm happy to hear the comment from the Tri-Town Trail Association about an open meeting. The suggestion I was going to make was whether this committee or the town council would consider transferring those easements to the Tri-Town Trail Association. That lets them operate as any other sort of land trust or similar organization in town. It essentially lets them control their fleet and move at their own speed. And it puts the town back in a place where we can be an arm's length supporter of the work that's going on out there.
Okay, that might be part of the topic with the meeting that Karen had discussed. We can add that in as a part of the working meeting. Probably a good idea.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have, I just want to make a comment also with regards to the trail project, but I'll wait until we get to that portion of the meeting, which I think is coming up quick. Unless you'd like me to speak now.
If you want, you can speak now. Hold on, let me catch up on jotting down what Nate had said.
She's on.
Okay, go ahead, Liz.
Okay, I mean, so this is, my comment is really relevant to old business number one, but I'll ask my questions now. So the last meeting that this committee had in June, there was a site walk, and I read the minutes of that site walk. I haven't been brought up to speed any more than that, and I was wondering, like, we have a motion today to authorize the Tri-Town Trail Association to actually construct the multiple log stringer bridge. Did this committee get done?
So that item has just been on the agenda as a placeholder as we get through all this. So we're not moving on any of that.
Right,
So
except
was the
that,
original-
except that the bridge is being built.
a bridge is built, yes, a temporary bridge is built. That bridge was been there for a while.
No, not according to their Facebook page. They're using geocells and they are actually building that stringer bridge. And I haven't received any notice of that from the Tri-Town Trail Committee. I haven't received any questions regarding whether it required a wetlands permit. I've received nothing, so I want to throw that out there. I just found out today that they've been doing all the small bridges out there, and that somebody told me they had a Facebook page, so I went on to their Facebook page, and they're actually building the stringer bridge that you have a motion to forward a report on. As far as I know, and perhaps Mrs. Parkinson could speak further to that.
No, there is no construction of a stringer bridge.
Okay,
No.
so what are the geocells that you referenced on your Facebook page?
There are the footings for the boardwalks.
Okay,
You're more than welcome to come out and take a look anytime.
And so just to let you know, the site walk that we had done, there was
Yeah.
no quorum, so that site walk, although I did walk the property,
mhm,
when I did walk the trail, I did that as an individual citizen, not as a member of the town council
right.
of the committee, because there was no quorum.
Yes, I noted, it was noted in the minutes.
So no
and
actions were taken, no discussions were had.
Right. So I guess where I am with this is I recall this committee asking the Tri-Town Trail Committee to work with the land use department with any work they were going forward with. And I have not received one email, not one phone call, nothing. I just assumed they weren't doing anything until they got approval from the town council to go forward. So I'm throwing that out
The
there.
town council has never provided permission or guidance. They just said, this is me, I personally said, I see no reason why we can't start moving forward. But I never said that the town council has never voted to move forward.
Correct. I understand that.
Well, that's not what you
I'm
said.
trying to point that out.
But you said that the town council gave approval. The town
No,
council
no,
has
no.
not given approval.
Correct. That's exactly, I'm sorry you misheard or I misspoke. What I'm saying is that the work has gone forward and town council has not given approval, nor has the Tri-Town Trail Committee met with the land use department to determine if there's any required permits. I'm just throwing that out there. So,
Okay.
and with regards to Nate's comment of seeing if there's any way we can turn the conservation easement over to the committee, I'm clearly they're not involving town staff in their project, so it's probably a really good idea.
This is Keith Parkinson, a resident of 55 Rose Hill Road, Ledyard.
Go ahead, Keith.
We have a wetlands permit that was passed
January 2016.
so that is still is in effect. We have written correspondence to you. We have appeared to the town council on numerous occasions and requested permission
Trailblaze.
to trailblaze and move ahead. We have contacted the Land Use and Planning Commission or Committee. We feel like we are very much in step with the town.
Well, my position is the same.
So just to be advised, Karen and Keith, just to, even though I may have said, hey, and I did say, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be proceeding forward. It does not mean that I'm just gonna say this, that any required permitting or requirements need to be adhered to. That goes without saying, obviously. And I'm not saying that anything has been violated. That's outside my jurisdictional control. from a zoning and wetlands that falls outside of my area that I can discuss or have any influence on by state statute.
Kevin, we are, we want to be in compliance with the town staff. I've talked to the Public Works Director. He has informed me that he can do no more for us. And the fact we want to take and have the support of the town. And I'm concerned that we're hearing that we have not cooperated with town representatives. We've talked with other counselors, and we've talked with the planner, we've talked with different commissions, and everyone has said to go ahead. We are not building this log stringer bridge. We understood the right answer when told there. And so what we have is the bridge that the town planner and others walked on last fall that we built as a temporary bridge in anticipation of being able to proceed forward. So I think that the town has been well informed, but we will take and continue to take and work with the town.
Thank you, Keith.
Working committee meeting, so we air all our grievances and find some consensus, okay?
Yep.
So that we put all our, everything on the table.
Yep, and that will be the purpose of the working meeting once we can schedule that.
Thank you.
I don't know when it'll be in person, so it may have to do a web form, much like we're doing right now, but
Sure.
to expedite it, but we definitely can have that work session. Okay, any other citizens' comments? Hearing none. I have no informational items. Review and approval of the prior meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Counselor Washington?
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I will ask at this point that if you're not actually discussing anything, please mute your microphones.
Turn off the microphone?
Please go on mute. Beatrice, could you go on mute? Mrs. Reynolds, could you go on mute? I'll ask again. If you are not actively speaking, please go on mute.
I can't hear him.
Mrs. Reynolds, could you please go on mute? Thank you. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Old business, continued discussion, possible action on the motion to authorize the Title Tail. So item number 1, we are not acting on. So that's going to be contingent on the further meetings that we'll be having. And as also requested originally by the Tri-Town Trail Committee to not act on this until further discussions. Item number 2, discussion possible action, periodically review list of town-owned property. Liz, have you anything on that?
Mr. Chairman, I did actually start it. I have not completed it yet. I apologize, but we do have one matter that has come up with a property, and I discussed it with you at a previous meeting. It's a property at 42 Bittersweet. It's a town open space parcel, And we received an inquiry from a neighboring property owner wanting to know what he could do on the property, whether he could blaze a trail. And we had a discussion about it, and I went back to the resident and let him know that, we're fine with you walking on it, but, because there's a detention basin on it, we really shouldn't blaze a trail,
Right.
that was part of our discussion.
Yep.
So apparently there's another adjacent property owner that had been utilizing the piece of property. He had cut down the grass, the weeds, the overgrowth, and he loamed and seeded it. And he also had a one of those garages, membrane structures, and he was parking a truck on it. So Kyle, our zoning official, went out there. He asked the man he moved the membrane structure, got a permit to move it, and he moved the truck off the property. So now we have the issue of, he also had a tree there that Steve Maslin told him that he could keep, but if they ever had to go in there and the tree had to come down, the town had no liability. So he had decided to keep it there, but once we received the complaint, he moved the tree. So the neighboring property owner wants the open space piece in between his driveway and the others to grow natural. The neighboring property owner said he didn't care, he'd let it grow natural, but another one that shares his driveway, another property owner, wants it to be mowed so that it looks nice. And so what I have here, and I told them I think this was a little above my pay grade, I have two opposing property owners that have different views of how that open space piece should be handled. So it may have to come to you guys.
Okay.
So I'm going to let him know. He did send me an email. He wanted to know what was going on. And I said that, I was going to speak to you. Open space is open space. Usually it's just, open space land. But now we have, the public works director was okay with him mowing the grass there. But now I have another neighboring property owner that wants it to be restored to its original overgrowth. So should I send him to talk to all of you at the next WebEx meeting? How do you think you would like me to proceed?
We can have a discussion. We can put it on, just have Roxanne put it on an agenda item for our next meeting.
Okay.
We can discuss. Because I know that the town historically has not had any opposition with somebody doing that kind of, mowing. If you're going to take a tree off because it may be in danger to, or
Right.
your property. So any small kind of improvements that don't really affect the town that you do to town-owned properties, the town generally doesn't have too much care about that. But now we're in a case where you have one adjacent property owner wanting it one way, another adjacent property owner wanting it something different. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to be able to please everybody.
I don't know.
Any
Maybe we
thoughts,
can
Mike?
split it down. Maybe we can split it down the middle. I don't know. I think it's 20 feet wide. Let 10 be mowed and let 10 be overgrown. It's all I can think of.
Go ahead,
Liz,
Mike.
I'm curious. I can understand one person wanting to mow the area, and just looking if it was a piece of property along the side of the road. And if my take on it is, and it's kind of a simplified take, is if we were coming down the road to mow it, if we can't reach it with the mower, they shouldn't be cutting it.
Right.
Well, the problem is it's actually an access strip that's about 20 feet wide and goes way back, and it's in between the properties. So it'd be a small 20-foot wide sort of overgrown area in between the two properties.
Yeah, it's a flag
It's
lot.
not just the side of the road.
It's a town-owned flag lot that provides access to the back for people.
Well,
To the
it's a
open
town-owned.
space.
Open
Yeah,
space.
and our detention basin is out there, which I don't think anyone's been out to since it was built, because it's all overgrown. You can barely get through there.
Well, I don't know if it's got a detention basin back there. Then if somebody ever wants to go down to just see what you have to lay it through there anyway. So
Right.
on the surface, saying that the case it being a driveway of some level at some point for an access, it's not like we're talking like an open field.
Right.
So we'll have to, at the next meeting, I guess that when.
Yeah,
when you have-
I want to hear the points from the neighbors to see what, because
Yeah.
I know personally myself in my old house, the town property was adjacent to me, and I would mow the town property more so because it made my property look better than anything. But I would do the roadside mowing 20 feet over to the side of the property, and also to the water treatment plant. I'd mow one side of it on the access strip, but it was all town property. I still mowed it. I mean,
Yep.
you know.
Is
But
the,
anyway,
is the property currently listed in our open space inventory and have an administrative organization listed?
Yes, it's the mayor and the DPW. I don't know if anyone's, I'd have to look at the list, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
on
I
our,
think
it's on our list and it's not conservation. It's,
right,
I think it's the mayor or the DPW.
right. Department of Public Works, because of the detention basin, it
Right.
reminds me. That's why.
Right. I mean, it'd be nice for us to be able to work out a solution between the two of them. I mean, I don't want one or the other suing us because, you know.
Well, so neither one of them are going to sue us if we tell them they can't tell us what to do with the property. We can say we're not going to maintain it, we're not going to mow it, or we are going to mow it. What are they going to sue us for? That they
Right.
mow the grass?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
You know, I wish there was a way to compromise and make them both happy. So maybe there will be. Who knows?
maybe. Okay. Interesting. Moving forward, item number. Oh, item number 3, blight enforcement. Any updates there? I didn't see anything from Ryan. So.
Kevin, there is actually a, let me see. Yes, there's a blight enforcement activity report, that was posted to iCompass today.
Nope, okay, I see it.
Yeah, so, I would suggest, unless, you know, I know about some of these things, but I would suggest if anyone had any questions, just call Kyle directly.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, discussion of the Clark Farm, use of the Clark Farm. I have no action, no updates there. Our forthcoming working meeting may have some interesting places to move forward with that. So I have no other old business. Moving on to new business. Mike, you want to make the motion? Can't hear you, Mike, you're on mute.
Motion to adopt the municipal certification of resolution for a small town economic assistance program, STEEP 2020 Ledger Community Green Improvement Project name to be determined, located at 728 Colonel Ledger Highway in the town of Ledger, Connecticut, and that the Parks and Recreation Commission shall review and approve the conceptual plan to be submitted as part of the application. And if funding is approved, town council approval will be requested for funding the town match when the amount is known before any contract is signed and the project is commenced.
Okay, I will second that motion. Liz, do you have any discussion on this one?
I do actually. On July 9th, the state of Connecticut Governor Lamont made an announcement that on July 11th, he was going to release $15 million in STEEP funds. The mayor was on vacation that week, but we did meet the next week. We have until August 14th to submit an application for STEEP funds. We met on July 24th. On July 27th, we hired a landscape architect to do a conceptual plan, and there should be something there on, it's on iCompass. There is one here, to a conceptual plan and do a cost estimate. In order for us to apply for this, there has to be a resolution from town council authorizing the mayor to apply for this grant. I know this is going to be hard for you guys to take right now because you're going to say, well, you know, money wise, that may be more finance. What is our match? We don't know yet. I haven't gotten the cost estimates for the project. what the concept is to propose improvements to the town green and call it the Town Green Community Facility. As you may or may not know, the town came to the Wetlands Commission and got an upland review permit, and they, laid millings down in the parking lot. The farmer's market is using the pole barn right now to have their farmer's market. The tennis court, the fencing has been taken down and they have paved over it. The thought as part of this project is to purchase a portable stage so that there could be concerts for the community, school concerts, whatnot. Going up the hill, there would be outdoor seating, there'd be new playground equipment, and there would be, I think one of the most important things is the Morgan barn, the red barn will, the proposal is to put 2 bathrooms in, 2 ADA accessible bathrooms. Another nice thing that we thought of was where all of the, I don't know if any of you have been down to the farmer's market recently, but where all of their junk is, and I'm not going to say it's junk, but where all of their stuff is still, it's, trailers and bleachers and whatnot. The proposal is to convert that to a little parklet with a gazebo, some tables, some benches, and the walking path that you see on the conceptual plan will go all the way around the parking lot up to the western part of the green, the top flat part, and come down. But we've also incorporated a couple loops for older folks maybe that can't make it up that little incline, so that they can have a nice walking path. The walking path, the mayor figured out, is 3 loops is a mile. So he's figured that out, and I thought it would be nice. The day that we were there in the blazing hot sun, that area was in complete shade. It was beautiful. So we thought that would be really nice for folks that just wanted to hang out. There'll be a new flagpole, a taller flagpole. There will be a living town Christmas tree. All this goes through, so that Public Works doesn't have to struggle with their trees every year. So there'll be a living Christmas tree. And then there'll be improvements such as on the pole barn. Some of the poles are really in bad shape, so they will be replaced. There will be roofs put on the buildings. There will be lighting installed on the pole barn. And that's about all I can think of. Perhaps Nate might want to throw in on that as well, because he was part of the discussion also.
Sure, thanks. I think, conceptually, I'm sorry, I'm going to.
Somehow we got a echo coming from somewhere.
So I think it's better. Conceptually, this is really an extension of the previous streetscape project in Ledyard Center, and also connects to the recent lot SIP grant in order to extend that walkway toward the high school. And so this is really all about making sure that the town green is a place that can support events. So making sure that we've got accessible bathrooms there, making sure that the existing structures are fixed up so that they can be used for events other than the farmers market. What we've seen is that this has been a really successful place for the farmers market. And so I think trying to make sure that the resources are here so that we can drive other events and really drive traffic into town center, something that we want to do. So I think this really does a nice job of extending the previous projects and forming a bridge, as far as we can down Colonel Ledyard Highway. Yep.
Yeah, this is. I like it. It kind of goes along with what the Ledyard Town Center Committee had started to try to do. So really, it's a continuation of the effort there. So I do like it. Liz, do we know what the percentage of the town match would be yet?
Not
I know
yet.
we don't have the dollar number. Just curious. We don't know what 'Cause I know
Well,
we have like an application the last time with about 17%. I was just kind of curious if we knew.
yeah, it was, yes, you're correct. It was like 16.16666%. So on a
Right.
$150,000 grant, we had a $25,000 match. I'm not positive what the percentage is here now, and I've read every little bit of the application, except for the budget and worksheet, and that's probably where it has
That's
it. I'm
probably where-
looking right now.
So there is no required match percentage this time. A match
I've looked
there's no
everywhere.
percentage required.
Okay, so there's no town matching grant or required.
A match is required. There is no minimum percentage.
Oh, gotcha.
From the reading of it,
Gotcha.
it can be $1,000.
Yeah, but so the cost of paying for the plans could be our match.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's what the last time we did this in Charlie Carno, in 2008 when we did this, we used the landscape architect Chad Frost and the plans that were put together. Those costs is what we were able to use to say that that was the town matching. To pull that through. Okay.
The other thing I noticed in filling out the application today is it looks like the grant has a max of $128,250. So, if everything we put together comes to 350, well, obviously we're going to have to, chop some of that out of there. But we may have to, the town would have to, as a match, put in the rest, or we would have to eliminate some of the things that we want to do. Maybe we have 2 sets of playground equipment for 2 age groups. We may have to hold off on one, but the playground equipment's in really bad shape.
So what committee are we gonna say is administering the grant?
Well, I know that's
Previously,
kind
the
of,
last time we did it was the Ledger Town Center Committee
Yep.
was the organization that was appointed to fund to administer the grant. I think as part of the resolution, you should put in that of which committee, or at least put something in the language to say who the authorizing committee to administer the grant would be. I'm assuming in this case you would probably say Parks and Rec.
well, Parks and Rec has administrative control over
They have administrative control
town
over the
green.
property, but
Yeah.
This is different. Who has
Yes.
administrative control of the grant funding? So
well,
you have to appoint a committee that's responsible to administer that funding. And secondly, all of this has to go through the permanent municipal building committee. Not now as part of the application goes,
right, but if it's
but
granted,
if we do get the grant, what they did before, we did, like I said, one of the Ledger Town Center Committee, which is now, I guess, basically back to being the Economic Development Commission. We went to the Permanent Municipal Building Committee and got them to, because of the small size and the scale of work that was going on, the Town Center Committee was authorized to be the building agent as well as administering the grant funds to pay out. So that's something we need to think about. It's not just, so this, I understand, this is just a point of applying for the grant, but we also
Yes.
have to think of those steps as well, of which board would actually be administrating the grant. And we should also probably be involving the PMBC earlier than later.
okay,
That's
yeah.
my recommendation.
So what would you suggest? Perhaps one of the reasons I added in the resolution that the Park and Recreation Committee shall review and approve the conceptual plan is, honestly, I didn't even know that Park and Rec had administrative control over it. I found out quickly. Scott Johnson called a meeting of the Park and Recreation Committee tomorrow night.
Yep.
And they're going to take a look at the plan and make recommendations, since their department, the Parks and Recreation Department, holds the capital budget for,
Yeah, but this goes outside the capital budget.
right,
So
the
this
grant.
is different. This is a grant. So like I said, the last time when we did the Ledger Town Center Committee, had put the trees in on the upper town green, put the
Right.
stone wall in. That was all done by the town center committee.
And there is
Um,
no town green committee,
Well,
so,
the town center committee has been disbanded and was folded into what is now the remaining of the Economic Development Commission. Now, that's the other thing is if this is a steep grant,
Mhm.
does EDC aware of this?
They're having a meeting tomorrow night. I'm gonna bring them up to date on it.
Okay, so EDC
It's
should
on
be,
their agenda.
yep, so EDC should be, if you're gonna call this an economic thing, then probably the EDC should be the right people to administer the grant,
Right.
or Parks and Recs. Mike, you have any thoughts?
I think it's gonna EDC if just thinking about it. I'll be at the meeting with them tomorrow to listen to this, but it's kind of a toss up because you look at the air, it's for Parks and Rec is what it is, but it's also,
But we're filing under a steep grant, small town economic.
Right.
yeah. I
I
don't,
mean, at least when we did it to the town center committee, there were members of the Parks and Recs Commission, land use, zoning, planning, when there were two separate committees, EDC, town council. So it was a board that was made up of all of the stakeholder organizations in town center, and all the land use boards, Board of Education, everybody. So that's why it was a little easier for that group to do it, because it was kind of conglomeration of all the right groups that need to have involvement. Planning and zoning from any issues there from getting approvals. At least you got a plan that you know that P&Z is gonna like and approve, because you have somebody on who actually reviewed it and it was helping fostering and developing those plans.
I don't know. It's if it's going to be a steep, then I don't see why it wouldn't be EDC.
Right.
But then what prevents us from putting together a workshop with everybody coming together during the workshop phase of it through the EDC?
That might be the right answer, but it's something that we haven't received a steep grant since 2008.
Oh,
No, we have it in 2014.
2014, I think that was the last, but still, it's been
There was
6 years.
2008 and 2014.
Right, and they were both administered under the town center committee.
Right. And the town planner, Charlie.
Charlie did it, and I was on
Right.
I was on the town center committee, so that's why I
Right.
remember all this.
so I was trying to figure out how you knew all this off the top of your head.
Because I went through this twice. That's why.
And unfortunately, the problem with, trying to get a workshop type meeting together with different committee members is we have literally 10 days to get this application in.
No, so to the point
Yeah.
of applying for the grant is one thing.
Yep.
So we move forward with applying for the grant, but in the meantime, don't let that
Yes.
hold up. In the meantime, we should be getting all the groups together.
Yes.
To
Okay.
say, if we get this grant, this is, i.e., Nate, maybe somebody from either yourself or somebody from planning and zoning getting involved to make sure that, hey, whatever the plan moving forward is something that sits well with the plan of conservation and development. EDC, because it is an economic development grant. Parks and Recs, because they have ownership of the property. Just to make sure that all the stakeholders that are involved are aware of what's going on, and it makes it a much smoother transition to get everything through. I.e., you're doing all these things. Hey, Nate, are you ready to do a 1024 review?
We are. So,
Yep.
Mr. Dombrowski, so should we be asking the council to stand up a temporary committee to administer this? If
If we
sounds like
need,
that's where you were going.
well, no, I'm just saying that's the way we had done it, because the town center committee was formed for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
And we were using, one of the bases that the town center committee was, if you want to bring development into town, you need to show you want investment into the town. And part of what happened is way back when on the state property, when Utopia was going to happen, back in 2007, 2008 timeframe, that is when the town center committee was formed to kind of get all the stakeholders within Legend Center, because if that development were to happen, then we figured as a town that there would be some outgrowth of that development that would come into Ledyard in order so we could kind of control our own destiny. So it was made up of, and at the time it was 2 separate commissions, but you had a planning member, a zoning member, Board of Education, EDC, Parks and Recs, 2 members of the town council, and 2 citizens at large who lived in the district, who lived in town. So that all the stakeholders involved, everybody was on the same plane, and they made all the approvals and everything that went through was very easy to get done because everybody was on the same page, and then they could report out to the respective committees.
Yeah, so I was a part of the town center committee for a while too, and so that's what I was wondering. I mean, is that the approach that we should take this time? Is just to ask, because I mean, this will be a short-term grant, you know, and if that is what makes the most sense.
But it makes the sense, but I would like to get EDC's weigh in on it because it was kind of their impetus that caused that. I mean, we can very much reopen the resolution that created the town center committee on a temporary basis. But once again, we also need to get support from the PMBC. Not necessarily that the PMBC needs to have membership on it, but at least notify them and say that, can we take care of this or do you want to manage it? And that is the right way to do it. That's just my recommendation moving to I'm not saying hold up on the grant application, by all means, move forward on the grant application. But on a go forward basis, I think there's a lot of other avenues we need to look at.
Yeah, I agree, and I think
to make it successful.
There's good impetus there because the state has